How's it going? Let's watch some draft tape together. I am watching the clips from Ron Holland and maybe Modest Buzelis if we have time. This is Kashigi's channel, as I shouted them out a lot, that's going to have every single relevant possession from these players. So it's the best sub to watching a full game, and they're perfect for these videos. We had a huge year this year on YouTube. I really appreciate all of the growth and everyone new who's been commenting and subscribing. I'd love to get to 10K by like next year at some point. That would be really cool. So subscribe. Let's get into it. I have not seen this, so we are going to be watching this together, and I'm going to be giving my thought process. Nice little quick extra pass there to Modest. And there's going to be some overlap in these because obviously these two play together very often. What do we got here? Simple stuff here. Stunt. Nice closeout. That looks a little bit concerning. Not like from a prospect. I'm like, ow, that looks a little bit painful. Oh, this is an unfortunate lapse or some kind of miscommunication. Ron clearly thought that he had help behind him here. He's pointing out, but he's just kind of oblivious to this guy cutting right by him. It's not a super normal thing for Ron. His awareness is pretty good overall. Nice transition bucket. But of course, something to keep an eye on. And he's just going to be a pest and snag a steal right there. Hit a three. Like, this is just the kind of player that Ron is. Look at him stare at the bench as well. I love it. I really do believe in the shot. The shooting is improving a lot. He's much more consistent and confident with his jumper. And I'm liking it a lot. Nice screen navigation here. This isn't the best screen in the world, but regardless, it's a good job by Ron to stay attached. And I think he ends up fouling here. He's definitely a fouler at this point, as many young defenders are, or I guess I'd say as most young defenders are. But good switch here, covering ground pretty quickly as he does because he's such an incredible athlete. And I like a lot of guys on this remix team. And I must say that Rip City Remix is an insanely sick G League team name. Great screen nav again. Left hand attaching, right feet staying as close as they can, and he's all over Ryan Repair, who is a guy who I like. Not like my favorite prospect ever, but I definitely was into him. Would like to see Ron box out a bit more there. I don't know what it is with these like star prospects at Ignite, like Scoot, Jalen Green, like he just keep getting guys who lapse, and I don't know if it's just the consequences of being a star level initiator that makes you lapse on defense, and that's probably it. But Ron really doesn't lapse on defense very often. This is mostly this game. Not a great decision so far here, as we see Ron try to hit ahead in transition and just kind of ignores this defender. The passing is not perfect, of course, but really nice crossover there. Man, this is like the special stuff that we're seeing from Ron that I think people are probably underrating. I love the little handoff here, and he's really gotten better, like slowing down and changing directions. We see Ron here plant really hard with the right foot, crossover, and he's so explosive. Jumps off of his off foot right here, hangs through contact, finishes with the offhand on the way down. Like, there are some ridiculous flashes of slashing and finishing. There is a lot of this just like floatiness so far in this game where Ron is kind of shading down, but he's not deep enough to help. He's also not out of the corner, but Ruper is also not an incredible shooter, and I don't know what the defensive scouting report says in this game and the extent to which it's even that detailed. Oh my, nasty block right there. Absolutely nasty. It's like this guy has a full step or two on Ron, and yet Ron is going to run in front of him and end up in front of this guy when they land. That is just ridiculous closing speed, hang time, all of that good stuff that you want to see from an elite defensive athlete. More drives at the rim. Let's break this one down. He looks for this like left hole here. The spacing isn't great, and I don't love the low pickup. This is an issue that a lot of young players have with this like low and mostly early pickup. This is just not a great position to put yourself in. You're gonna get a tough shot because you don't like bend the defense more. There isn't an easy pass, and this is not a super great shot, like an offhand lefty shot. We've seen him make those, and Ron definitely can make those, but the decision-making on drives, and that was a weird travel, I think. Yeah, that was a weird play. Now we see Ron coming off of a curl screen and Another miss there. Would like to see him get off the ground more on this situation. A little bit ground bound here, but still does get up and just ends up kind of overshooting that. Gonna keep monitoring how good the touch is looking, how soft the shots are going in. More falling asleep. Not a very good game so far overall. I know the box score is good, so we'll see if things turn around for him later in the game, but calling out a lot of these switches but not really acting on them. A lot of these like lower level defensive mistakes that are mostly effort related, but obviously we see when he does lock in, when the tools are on display, he can defend on the ball, crazy sliding, change direction quickly and stop, contest, doesn't bite on these fakes. The most young defenders have this issue where the motor runs hot and cold. It's even for guys like Ron who are like high motor players, it just happens. It's very rare that young defensive prospects, even ones who ends up being stars like Jaden McDaniels or OG Anunoby, had lots of lapses as a young player, but also the flashes like this where I think Ron's ability as a screen chaser is going to be so valuable, being able to get over plays like that and create pressure and not allow anything. Nice pass on the move right there. Pretty simple. Maybe a little slow processing this. Would like to see the ball get out right here on the catch. But that's also like kind of a nitpick, and he definitely does get the ball out on time for it to be a good shot. I don't really know what this is about. I'm going to have to watch it again. Just a poorly placed pass, but it also looks like Almanza was not running very hard. I'm definitely getting lower on Almanza for sure. I'm definitely not as optimistic as I once was about his game, but there's good and bad, again, on a play like this. He's rejecting here, which is nice to see, and gets into the paint. I'd love to see more pace here. He shows the beginnings of like a little jail, and also it wouldn't be bad to like fake going right here to develop some screen craft. That's going to be the next steps for Ron as ball handler, faking right to move this defender a bit, move the drop defender, and maybe slowing down here, and you can survey, you can decide to kick to Tyler Smith again, who's a great shooter on the pot, but again goes for a contested layup. And no matter how good you are at contested layups, unless you're like Giannis, it's generally not good to take them all the time. Oh, and this is the special defensive stuff. Again, we have Ron switched onto a guard. I don't know who 24 on Rip City Remix is at the moment, but he's so fast. Recovery tools, again, this defender has him beat, and against the majority of basketball players, he's got it. But Ron has the crazy 1 foot explosion. He doesn't get so high, but he gets off the ground so fast. Good job shaking that guy off ball. The catch and shoot threes are looking confident. I haven't really seen him being hesitant in those instances. Ron, like any player who is a playmaker, who gambles, is going to get burned. It's just part of the play style. And again, I don't think it happens for Ron super often, or at least the playmaking gambles. Like, I don't know about that foul call. I'm going to have to look at this more closely. Maybe. Or it might have honestly been on Smith here. But again, we see Ron, the rim protection is a huge selling point for him. Early in the paint, walls up, vertically, midair, really good stuff like that. The screen navigation, I will say this has like been a bad, like not the greatest offensive game, but the defense, at least the high-end flashes, have been fantastic. And this is just what you get with Ron Holland. Stepping through the screen and cutting off this drive, quick reactions to slide down and help on this drive as well. And the ball ends up moving, and his teammates could probably be rotating quicker there, but still make some multiple impactful rotations on that play. But the decision-making has definitely been problematic at this point. Again, playing too fast, playing sped up, not surveying when he's driving. And that's a problem with a lot of young ball handlers. And Ron is obviously getting better, but that's still going to be something to monitor, is surveying. Because it's not like he has a guy who's just like, it's not like he's a guy who's just like natural instincts feel for the game, like Luka, Trae Young, even like a passer like Jalen Johnson in a similar wing role. He just doesn't have that kind of passing gene, but he definitely is improving, like I said. But it's going to be time and just like accuracy, communication stuff. Every single year, Ignite has a ton of communication issues, a ton of like weird scheme issues, and like all of their prospects mostly share. So that's not something that I generally put too much weight into for the prospects. Beautiful Euro there, and ends up getting swatted. Transition is kind of what it is. It's fickle. That is another great Euro. I wish he was a little bit more airborne on some of these finishes, and maybe his vertical athleticism in like these really tight spaces isn't the best when he doesn't have a little bit of a running start. But Ron, nice job using the Euro to get around this defender. It looks explosive there, but just smokes the layup. And again, part of this could be, I think, probably is touch as well. The touch isn't the most fantastic thing ever, but what is fantastic, again, defense, sliding on the ball. Really, really impressive chaser. And the ability to guard down for a guy with this legit wing size is really, really important. Ron with the little pull-up, he is becoming a very confident shooter, as we see. No hesitation here. A lot of shaky shooters without great percentages will be indecisive, which honestly is worse than being a decisive bad shooter. But Ron is able to get run off the line, dribble into an easy little pull-up jumper there. That's really, really great stuff. Now we got Ron operating as a pick and roll screener, and we just have a simple play right here. This isn't the greatest screen usage here, as he's, again, this, like, you see point guards, like real point guards, who will like set up screens, use pace and patience, and confuse the defender, like try to make them lose the screen. But Ron isn't really doing that, and there isn't really a great option here. So, but again, we see the early pickup either doesn't have the handle or willingness to keep his dribble alive, which just extends your options, of course. Keeping your dribble alive is basically always beneficial, and whew, even with the miss, the space creation there is really impressive. I do think there's real shot making upside with Ron, with some of the flashes that are becoming more common. Maybe a little hesitation, and see, that's when you hesitate, when you think about it, that's when you're going to miss. But Ron, for the most part, willing shooter, which at this point in his development is what you want. And then we see the awareness and attentiveness, which is most common for Ron, actually standing in front of him. Obviously, this pass was a little errant, but even if this pass arrived, Ron would have been in perfect position to contest and to offer a body and to just be a disruption as well. Nice relocation, and oh my goodness, I'm a huge Tyler Smith fan. That guy is going to be freaking awesome. He's so mobile. The shot is awesome. Can dribble a little bit. Like, you're 3 in rim protection big that you're going to take in like the late lottery, mid-teens and such. Another good awareness play by Ron here isn't faked out by this slight head movement towards the corner, which is really nice. And he makes a play on the ball. And again, if he was, I wish Ron was like a little bit longer, is one of my main athletic issues with him. Is like players with just that extra couple inches of length will make that play. And I don't think he has a short wingspan. I'd love to, I'm sure I can find a measurement somewhere, but on tape it just doesn't pop up as being hugely important. And we see him getting back cut here. Another just lapse of attention there, which is going to happen, and it is what it is at this point. And another pull-up jumper, which is going to happen and is what it is at this point. Ron is turning into a really different archetype of player than he was in high school. Was way more of like a slasher, cutter, closeout attacker, but he's been asked to be this like pull-up initiator, and I think that's interesting for his development. He's adding new skills to the bag, and we see with guys like Scotty Barnes, who have played a bunch of different roles pre-college, that I think this one is going to help Ron long. Not sure why it cut out there, but yeah, point being, Ron is going to be okay. And let's watch some of these initiator possessions. See, this is the kind of pace. Oh my God. This is going to be on my Twitter before this video is out. I wasn't even talking about that originally. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Setting up the screen, just subtle movements, getting this defender out of position and exploding the other way. But this is... that might have been a carry, but like, holy shit, that was sick. Yeah, that was probably a carry, but oh man, if he gets away with that, he's, again, gotta finish that. Some of the touch smokes have been rough, but the handling creation stuff, man, it's really interesting. And I know, like, this isn't the stuff you want from like a typical number 1 type pick. Good job getting the ball under pressure there, even if it didn't look pretty, it ended up working out. But oh man, that crossover was fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There we go. Ron skying up, getting a rebound, more transition. Another inaccurate-ish pass. The passing, like, accuracy, like the technique stuff is definitely going to need to improve, where this just needs to be a bounce pass. through this wide open space, or the lob just needs to be placed more closely to the back square. But I think it's always better to be lacking in like the technical areas as a passer. This is in most things than like the feel mental part. Another like smoked layup. Not happy with the touch in this game, but great effort for the offensive rebound. Ron reacting to the cut. This is, again, like a tiny lapse here. Like, if this was a better passer, the ball's out here, he gets the ball, and there's a real advantage. But Ron, of course, the recovery tools, as we've talked about. It's this tough, like, paradox with young players where, like, a lot of them can get away with these bad habits because they have the tools and the athletic ability and the gift with their feel to recover and to make up for it. And, of course, in the NBA, that just doesn't fly. Another great low pickup, transition bucket. Ooh, let's talk about Ron relocating to the corner here. Really nice. Off-ball awareness, spacing is something I value a lot, and that was something Ron showcased a lot more pre-college or pre-Ignite, I guess, than he is right now. I don't really see this. I mean, that was a nice closeout, but I don't really see this as significantly involving Ron. This is not his rotation. Ron is to me making the correct play here, and this is why like defensive scheme is hard to evaluate because I don't know exactly what their principles are. But generally, it's the job of the player guarding the low man to step up, and then the one guarding the weak side shooter will slide down. Clearly, I think London Johnson wanted to switch this, but Ron didn't notice in time. So again, it's a miscommunication, if anything, but I think it's probably more likely to be on London than Ron in this scenario. And this is more of just the potential as like a little things defender, right? It's valuable to have players who don't make mistakes, which I don't think Ron will as he gets older. He's going to tag the roll. He's going to get back. He's so fast and controlled as a closeout defender. I love to see him going for the kick right there. He's just a crafty player. And he slides and is able to make up, crowd this ball handler, end up forcing a miss. Also, I hate that everyone's number on this Rip City team is so damn high. Like, those numbers don't look good. None of these are cool numbers. And that's a very important thing to me, is that players wear cool numbers. This 24, who I'm sure it's a player I know that I just can't read their thing and don't recognize. Nice. Finally, Ron hits on one of these curl finishes. Just need to see the touch be more consistent. Need to see those shots going in at a higher clip than they currently are. But it is what it is at that point. And we're going to see, is that a turnover or a foul? He just dribbling the ball into traffic when he shouldn't. And this game got really close. I would like to actually watch this game. Another good rotation here that ends up taking away a shot at the rim. We see the small play-to-play stuff that's not showing up in the box score here. This is an instant reaction. The second he gets wind that his teammate might get beat, he slides up, walls at the rim, forces a pass, and the offense ends up getting a worse shot than they would have gotten otherwise. And oh my lord, Ron probably got lucky with that call. I think I saw the modest game winner, but I don't really know anything else that happens here. It looks like that was it. This was fairly long, I think, so I'll do the modest one in another video. Let me know what you think of this style. I think people like it, and it's fun for me to make too. So